Thrive Nation. On today's show, we're going to get into a lot of topics and news that affects you. But what I've been doing is I drove back from the Reawaken America Tour in Las Vegas, Nevada to Tulsa. It was about an 18-hour trip, and I got back. And I don't know how you guys do road trips, but when I do road trips, I can't unwind after I've had 14 coffees and after I've driven for 18 consecutive hours. So I end up needing to find a way to kind of unwind. And so I like to unwind by doing some deep dive research into things that I want to know about. And one is I wanted to know, who is Vivek Ramaswamy? And so I have currently found 28 facts that I thought people should know. And I'm going to zoom in so that people can read along with me. And I'm going to go from the bottom of this to the top. And I'm going to read the facts. And I just want to get General Flynn, I want to get your thoughts, Thomas Renz, Sorchini, so you can tell me whether you're slightly concerned about this person, because he is now the number two most likely, he's number two behind President Donald J. Trump, and many people are suggesting he should become a vice president. So here we go. So fact number one, in 2007, at the age of 22, Vivek Ramaswamy, he wrote an op-ed, which was published in the Boston Globe and in the New York Times, advocating for human-animal chimeras. That's where you take a human and you mix it with another animal. And he was so passionate about this, his op-ed, that it was featured in the Boston Globe and the New York Times. And George Soros, his brother, Paul and Daisy Soros, have listed Vivek Ramaswamy as a fellow. He's a member of their Fellowships for New Americans. And right here, they list this on this webpage they made for him. It says, while at Harvard, we'll zoom in here a little bit more. While at Harvard, he wrote a senior thesis on the ethical questions raised by creating human-animal chimeras, which was published in the Boston Globe and the New York Times. So, General Flynn, I just want to get your thoughts on just that idea of writing an op-ed, advocating for human-animal chimeras. Is that something you're passionate about, sir?
Is that like people who are jockeys who ride on a horse, or bullfighters who fight bulls in a ring? Or does that actually mean you are going to bring an animal and a human together, right? And form something new? I mean, what is he getting at?
I just say this is a real thing.
So it's beyond just like being a jockey and riding on a horse.
Exactly. Now, Charlie's joining us here. He's a hip hop artist. He's been writing very patriotic songs here. Charlie, I want to get your thoughts. You're just joining us here. Are you a fan of the idea of human animal hybrids known as chimeras? Does that sound like something you want to be a part of?
Definitely not.
Okay, that's a kind of a rough take there, Thomas Renz. He's clearly a conspiracy theorist. Okay, fact number two. So you have Vivek Ramaswamy. He's listed on the Paul and Daisy Soros Fellowships for New Americans website. Paul is often known as the Invisible Soros. This is George Soros's brother. And this is who helped Vivek fund his way through college. I'd love to get your thoughts, Tom Renz, on the Soros connection there.
Well, I mean, if you don't like George Soros, then clearly you're an anti-Semite, because George Soros is the leading embodiment of pro-Semitism, I guess. Listen, this guy's surrounded by bad things. I mean,
is he his stepbrother? Is he a stepbrother, or what? I mean, because I've heard different things. I mean,
okay, let's look it up.
Vivek said he's not really related. I think Vivek actually said they're not related.
Yeah, listen what Vivek has said. This is the Hungarian-born American mechanical engineer, inventor, business, and philanthropist. Soros founded the Soros Associates, which designs and develops bulk handling and port facilities. Soros Associates currently operates in 91 countries worldwide. He's also the older brother of George Soros. He's known as the Invisible Soros, who handles the family's finances. We continue. Fact number three, Ramaswamy, folks, again, Ramaswamy, he's still on the website today. Okay. So even Forbes has pointed this out. This isn't me. Now he went ahead. Ramaswamy didn't like what Wikipedia had to say about him, General Flynn. And so he really wanted to make sure that his connection to the World Economic Forum, listed as a young global leader, was removed. I'd love to get your thoughts, General Flynn, on that. I mean, I don't know.
I tried to get some stuff removed from Wikipedia about me, man, and they just tripled down on how they describe me. So Ramaswamy, that's not surprising. It's not surprising that he did that, because this is a guy with a huge ambition Very articulate, but razor thin resume as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, and again, apparently he has a great relationship with Wikipedia. They were able to change his bio. They couldn't change yours, General Flynn. But
And Wikipedia, so people know, Wikipedia is owned by, not, I don't know if it's totally, but the Soros family has a huge, I think, a huge component ownership of Wikipedia. So that's just another interesting little tidbit.
now I'm going to go back to Charlie Carboni here. And Charlie, you're a hip hop artist. Can you tell people out there where they can find your music before I continue interrogating you, sir?
Well, I'm on Instagram at Charlie Carbone KC, and we have a bunch of videos on YouTube, and we're actually about to launch our own video platform called Clarity Vision. It's going to be a clean, conservative Christian video platform that we've been working on for about 1.5 years now, and it's finally about to launch, and it's going to be powerful. No perversion, no filth, only clean music, clean inspirational content will be allowed on it.
Now, I'm going to feature one of your songs at the end of today's show, but let me go back to this. We're told, General Flynn, we're told that Ramaswamy is a financial genius. We are told this guy, he has it figured out. Let me hit play here. Sorchini, I'm coming to you next. Get ready.
Virtually all of Ramaswamy's companies operate in the red, and none have ever turned a profit consistently.
Oh.
His flagship holding company, Roivant, has never once turned a profit since going public, losing $433 million in 2020, $698 million in 2021, and a whopping $1.12 billion in 2022, with Bloomberg predicting another $1 billion+ losses in 2023. Also at issue, according to Fortune, is Ramaswamy's telling of how he came to build a successful financial empire. Quote, a huge part of Ramaswamy's self-created origin story is how he built a successful business when he was still an undergraduate in college, a database called studentbusinesses.com, and supposedly sold it out for millions to the Kauffman Foundation in 2009. He has sat for countless fawning interviews across print, media, television, and podcasts, focused on his earliest business triumph. However, Ramaswamy's 2009 tax returns show realized capital gains of only $37,000. Hardly a lucrative exit. The following year, in 2010, Ramaswamy reported zero in capital gains.
That's a great accountant.
Sorchini, I got to ask you, if you sell, let's say that I had a business today that made a profit of $1 million a year, and I sold the business, and somebody said, hey, I'll give you 7 times your profit. That's a pretty good sell. I sell my business for $7 million. How would it be possible that I only paid $37,000 in taxes? I mean, he apparently built this incredible company, studentbusinesses.com, and how would that happen?
Well, it sounds like he's ripe for an audit, because I think the IRS would have a fun time with him. I don't think he probably put away hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and was able to write off way too much of it. I'm sure that's what happened.
Okay, now I want to bring this up here now. Again, folks, we're just going through Ramaswamy here. He said that he had a net worth of $15 million before graduating law school. How did he get that money? Let's continue. Vivek, in 2014, he starts this company called Roivant Sciences, based in Bermuda, with nearly $100 million of investment capital. We move on. At the age of 30, 2015, he talks about making this new technology where he's going to actually have a neurotransmitted targeted therapy that's going to help people with Alzheimer's, this sort of thing. Fact number 7, 2015, he begins to start a company, the subsidiary company called Axovant. Then we move on here. Fact number 8, 2016. It turns out he's not a registered Republican, and he donated to anti-Trump Democrat. What? He donated to anti-Trump Democrat candidate in 2016. Charlie, I mean, you're a rapper. You're a people of the purple. You're a person of the people. What are your thoughts on this fact, sir?
The only thing I could say that's good about this guy is that he's bringing a lot of awareness that climate change is a hoax. That's the only thing that I'm seeing that he's bringing awareness on. That could help. That's about it.
Okay, let's continue. So Vivek, age 33, he teams up Roivant with Artibus. They pool their resources together to create an RNA-focused company, an RNA-focused biotech company called GeneVant. Tom Renz, are you a big fan of companies that are making RNA-focused gene technology, gene editing technology called Gene Van. Any thoughts on that?
Love them. Love them. I mean, the idea of recreating man out of the image of God and in the image of Yuval Noah Harari sounds great to me. We should
Okay,
definitely do that.
Tom Ringer in rare form today. Let's continue. Fact number 10, Vivek Ramaswamy. He strikes again, this time launching a Beijing-based biotech player. What? He launches another company here in Beijing, folks. Now, he did that. Now, again, Beijing, China, home to forced organ harvesting, forced to quarantine camps, home of China, communism, okay? So he's teaming up with a Chinese pool of folks. He's doing a Chinese biotech company in China. What? These are all facts. We continue. General Flynn, July 9th, 2020, he tweets out, wearing a mask equals personal responsibility. Now, we're headed back into the mask time. They're going to push the mask mandates again. And General Flynn, he tweeted out here on July 9th, 2020, wearing a mask equals personal responsibility. It's puzzling when conservatives oppose it. Sir, I'd love to get your thoughts on this.
This guy, I mean, this is only number 11, right? Is this the 11th?
We got 21.
21. Oh my God. Well, he's not gonna do too well here if they start imposing masks again, because people are gonna, and it's already all over the internet. I've seen some memes of Ramaswamy trying to say his name underneath a mask, like, so when somebody sees him, they go, "What's your name?" He goes, "Oh, oh, oh, oh." And I've seen some memes already. So people are getting they've come around to who this guy is.
Let's continue, because he's head of Ron DeSanctimonious. I'm sorry, I mispronounced it. It's Rob DeSanctis. Rob DeSanctis. He's a little bit ahead of Rob DeSanctis on today's. Okay, so we move on now. Fact number 12, Ramaswamy's Datavant sought to create a universal database for governments that displays every patient who's been tested for COVID-19, successfully partnering with the NIH. Renz, are you a big fan of that, sir?
I love it. I think that the more we can collect personal private data and sell it to China, the better. Ideally, they should have the genetic information of every man, woman, and child in this country. That way they can ensure that they don't create any biological weapons that would be targeted towards their DNA or genetics.
Okay, let's continue. Fact number 13.
What? What did he just say? What did Renz just say? God, I was considering using you, Tom, for my my lawsuit against Roivant.
Well,
hey, I'm in.
Now, Vivek, folks, he's in rare form here. February 25th, 2021. He's competing with Tom Renz to see who's the most likable. He tweets out, to state the obvious, we should aim to safely vaccinate everyone who is eligible. Charlie, again, you're a person of the people. Does that sit well with you? Are you a big fan of vaccinating everybody?
No, I actually lost my career holding the line against the vaccine in New York City. I had a city job and I suffered for 7 years in that job, making like half the salary I was about to make the following year. And then I got put to the test and I let them fire me, and I'm walking with God now. And I don't believe in the vaccine.
Charlie, are you living in Central Park? Is that Central Park?
No, I'm in New Jersey. I'm in New Jersey.
No,
what a wonderful thing, Charlie. That's great. That is such a great story.
Charlie, you were standing up for your faith, and you were financially struggling because of it. You financially were persecuted because of it. Now, Vivek found a way to put $950 million in the bank while taking a company public that's never made a dime. I'd like to get your thoughts, Sorcini. You handle people's money a lot at Beverly Hills Precious Metals. This is what you do. How could you at bh-pm.com, if you wanted to, how could you not make a dime of profit and somehow put $950 million in your pocket while taking your company public? How does that work?
He'd have to be hustling a lot of really wealthy friends and getting them to put up money with these extravagant promises. That would be the only way, and it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up at all.
Now you're a conspiracy theorist. Fact number 15, age 36, Roivant grows its computational drug discovery engine by acquiring Silicon Therapeutics. Folks, read that out loud. Silicon Therapeutics, to provide physics-based approaches to be integrated with machine learning. The new technology is called Vant AI. Oh, and guess what? Roivant and their new technology called Vant AI teams up with Pfizer. He's now partnered with Pfizer. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, folks. Vivek Ramaswamy has partnered up with Pfizer. General Flynn, any red flags about that? Because we know that Pfizer's close to Klaus Schwab. I mean, Borla, the head of Pfizer, loves Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab loves Borla. Love to get your thoughts on that, sir.
Yeah, it's interesting that all this digging on Vivek has had to occur, and that he's going to try to act like these are no big deals. These are huge, huge bombshells, regarding an individual who thinks he's going to run for, thinks he's going to be the president of the United States. I mean, these are huge. This particular one, all the others pale in comparison to this particular relationship and how much money he made. So he basically is making money, at least in the last couple of years, with this Roivant company and its sale to Pfizer. He's basically making money, from the COVID nightmare that we all lived through, so while he was happily jogging, or skipping to the bank, people were dying. People were actually dying because of the effects of what Pfizer was doing.
Now I'm going to pull this next clip here. This is what they talk about at Pfizer, folks. Watch this. Unbelievable. This is real stuff. They do this at Pfizer every day. This is what they talk about.
I have a question about patient engagement.
Here we go.
And you had touched on this before. All of these advances are amazing. But even if you make the greatest drug or the greatest wearable, there's no guarantee that the patient is going to take the drug, wear the device. So how are you thinking about technology to engage the patient?
Here we go.
Again, maybe I will use an example. I think it's fascinating what's happening in this field right now. I mean, FDA approved the first electronic pill, if I can call it like that. So it is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet. And once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, it sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance, the insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field.
No, we align very much with the China Healthy 2030, and we are trying to contribute as much as we can. I think we will see a lot of advancements with mRNA. And the good thing, after the success of COVID, it is that right now we have a substantial wave of companies, biotechs and big pharmas that are working on mRNA, a lot. And they are working on multiple applications of mRNA. So I think the first things that I'm hopeful to see it is other vaccines other than COVID, a flu vaccine with mRNA, a single vaccine with mRNA, other vaccines with mRNA. No, we align very much with the China Healthy 2030, and we are trying to.
Charlie, Vivek has teamed up with Pfizer. What are your thoughts there, sir?
Oh, definitely not a good look. And Clay, what you digging on these guys, what you doing this research on, we're not going to have it. There's not going to be any candidates left if Clay hits them all.
Now, we continue here. Now, General Flynn, this is interesting. As recently as February of 2022, Ramaswamy Roivant has listed subsidiary companies based in China, according to SEC filings. And someone says, "Come on, you can't prove it." "Oh, I can prove it." And someone says, "Come on, you can't prove it." "Oh, I can prove it." And the thing is, I'm just getting started on this guy. I mean, this isn't really deep digging, General Flynn. This was only about 12 hours of digging. This wasn't like 40 hours. And I just want to get your thoughts on the idea that he now has subsidiary companies in China.
He should grow a mustache. He should probably grow a mustache, long bar mustache that comes around, maybe even a little goatee. He's going to need to change his identity. maybe shorten his name. I understood my name used to be O'Flynn, right? When they came over on the boats, and so maybe he goes with just a Rama. I think Rama with a goatee, mustache. I think that's probably the next debate. He should have that look.
Unbelievable. Now, General Flynn,
this is unreal. I mean, again, China relationship with Pfizer.
Yep.
The amounts of money that this guy came into on the backs of a lot of people who experienced very, very unhealthy conditions, resulting in I hate to say it, in death, but you know, again, I just look at all this, and he always had kind of a funny feeling. Like, I know we've talked about this a while, but always had a little bit of a funny feeling. But this last 24, 48 hours, you know, this drive home from, you know, from out west back home to discover all these facts, there will likely be more. There will likely be more.
So, General Flynn, I want to get your thoughts here. We're going to get into bricks here. I'd love to get your thoughts, because a lot of people blindly discredit somebody based upon the packaging. So I'm going to talk about Charlie for a second. I'm going to play one of his songs on today's show. I mean this, Charlie, I played some of your songs for my wife while we were driving. We had 17 hours to do it. And your stuff is great. It's lyrically phenomenal. The syncopation, the way you deliver the rhymes, it's incredible. But if you're not like if you don't have a Mercedes in the background and a Hummer and all these rented, you know, a fleet of exotic cars,
couple of chains,
a bunch of lascivious women in the background, a lot of people might reject the message because of the packaging. In our culture, we also accept a lot of people because of the packaging. And so I want to get your thoughts, General Flynn, and I want to get Charlie's thoughts on this. I know a lot of people that are posting everywhere, you know, I love Ramaswamy. Yeah. And I'm going, have you looked up anything about him at all? Because if anybody, I mean, he's a 38-year-old billionaire. How do you become a 38-year-old billionaire? And his entire timeline doesn't make any sense at all. And it starts with Soros. So I just love to get your thoughts, General Flynn, on maybe teaching our listeners some discernment or skills you've learned over time to sort fact from fiction.
Well, when you look at the facts that we now know, and also his his education and where he ended up, I think he ended up with graduating from Yale Law School. So in his you know, the latter part of his 20s, right? So between the latter part of his 20s and over the next 10 years, this guy created essentially an enterprise of wealth. And you got to look at it and say, okay, how did that come about? You know, in the world of venture capitalism, in the world of moving one company to another, you know, you go to where the money is, right? And the money is he clearly got into that, because people go, oh, he's a big tech guy. That's how he made his money. Well, how did he make his money? But I mean, big tech is a phrase. How did he make his money? Where did he make his money? Who was he working with? What were the relationships that he had? You know, and the other part of it is, it's like, you know, I've led organizations from 20 people to 20,000 people. And so what kind of organizations did he run? You know, how many employees did he have? How many life decisions did he have to make about some of those employees because of their families and all of the different machinations that go with all those types of things? And to me, because this is a guy that wants to be president, he comes across very smoothly, very articulate, very well spoken, answers questions, has the right talking points. But then when you look at his resume, okay, his resume to me is razor thin. And I ain't just talking about his foreign policy resume. I'm talking about all issues that deal with human beings in large organizations, never mind in the government, as well as, you know, domestic issues, educational issues, security issues, foreign policy issues, military issues. You know, I can name 10 more. And those are the things that, you know, you can't just have these topical, nice phrases that sound good. You have got to have a body of experience that allows me as an American to go, okay, yep, this is a guy that can handle all those issues. This is a guy that has the ability to do that. If somebody goes, well, I've made a lot of money, I've had this company and that company, and I'm a billionaire, and tough. A lot of people, I can go, you know, play the lottery. If I was just some homeless guy, you know, and play the lottery and become a multimillionaire overnight with $1, right? So we really have to look at the entire person. And now that we are moving forward into the primaries here in a few more months, people are starting to take a hard look. I saw some really ugly things about Mike Pence earlier today. You know, and I mean, really ugly things. You know, people are starting to examine, for example, Mike Pence's book. I don't recommend anybody buy it. There's some great people on the internet right now going through word for word on Mike Pence's book and finding all sorts of not only anomalies, but just downright lies. So everybody's going to be examined, and Ramaswamy deserves this level of examination as well.
Now, General Flynn, I want to come back to you. Yes, sir. Yep.
you know, if I can put this out there, this is one of the thoughts that I had when I saw your list, because I went through this, I looked at some of this stuff. You know, you've got a very clear attempt by this administration and by a bunch of people to undermine the candidacy of Donald Trump. I mean, they're doing everything they can. They're just weaponizing the DOJ and everything else they can. But here's the thing: the reality is that many, many millions of Americans absolutely love the Trump. So, with that in mind, you know, if you were going to try and take Trump out illegally, which this is absolutely election interference, and I would suggest everybody look at 18 USC 595. This is absolutely election interference by the DOJ and a bunch of other group people. Yeah, if you look at this, if you want to do that, if you want to actually take out a presidential candidate that's as wildly popular as Donald Trump, you got to give people someone to fall back on, or the people are going to be out of control angry. So if you were going to do that, wouldn't you want to set someone up who's saying the right things publicly, not really getting questioned in the media, but it's really nothing but a sellout? And that's, to me, that I can't prove anything on this, but that's what this smells like. This guy smells like a plant to me.
Well, okay, I want to ask you this, General Flynn, because this is what happened in Oklahoma and in Texas, okay? So let me just do an example. I'm going to pull this up. I want people to see this. This happened in Oklahoma and Texas. So we're going to do, Sorchini, this is what I call deep dive investigative work here. Watch this. I'm going to type in World Economic Forum. I'm going to put Greg Abbott. Now I'm gonna hit it. Now, folks, this is the deep dive I'm willing to do for you. I'm willing to go this deep. I'm going onto the dark web. I'm hitting enter and what we call Google. Perhaps people have heard about it. I go there, and Sorchini, I was able to find here. Now, again, I had to type it in and hit enter. I had to go really deep here onto the top of page 1. I had to go all the way to the bottom of the top of page 1 to find that Greg Abbott is a member of the World Economic Forum. And what I find is people go, yeah, but he's a Republican. And I find in Oklahoma, our governor, people say he's a Republican. Well, yeah, he did a lockdown. Quarantines, encourage the shots, lockdowns. Do we realize how tyrannical the idea is to lock down the American people? So I'd love to get your thoughts, Charlie, on, because in Oklahoma, here's the move. Whenever the Republicans are getting some pressure from his people, this is the move. They go, we need to have a prayer meeting with all the pastors. And then all the pastors show up. And right away they go, man, I could feel the spirit moving. Man, this guy, he loves the Lord. And next thing you know, the tyranny continues. I just love to get your thoughts on how is it that Greg Abbott is able to hide behind the Republican logo, yet openly be a member of the World Economic Forum? How can that happen?
They've been infiltrating for years, these fakes. I knew he was a fake when he didn't secure his border. Why didn't he secure his border? That's where the invasion is coming from. Why couldn't he secure his own border? That could have stopped a lot of this. No, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but is that right? Could he have done something?
Yes.
Now, Tom Renz, I want to get your thoughts on this. And General Flynn, I mean, let's pretend that General Flynn, a series of poor life choices were made, and all of a sudden I was, let's say, the governor of Texas. Let's just say that happened. I would say, okay, step number 1, we're going to secure the border. So we've got this thing called the National Guard. And I'm going to use this thing called a map. And I'm going to say, I don't know a whole lot about these issues, but I'm going to look up the state of Texas. I'm going to pull out a map and I'm going to go, here's the deal. In the National Guard, we have a certain number of soldiers that have been put in position to protect our state against threats. And I'm going to put a few troops here and then a few troops here, a couple over here, a few of them over here. I'm just going all the way down the border. And I'm going to say our troops are on the border for the purposes of protecting the borders of the state of Texas. And then I'm going to say, instead of building another crazy highway or expanding welfare more, we're going to build a wall, and we're going to not stop building the wall until the wall is built. And that's how I would stop the border invasion. But General Flynn, that seems like it's too simple.
Yeah, a couple of things with Texas. Interest. I mean, you could you declare a state of emergency. You could activate the National Guard that you have. That would be. It would be a negotiation with the federal government. But the interesting thing about the state of Texas, Charlie, is that Texas has its own version of a state guard. So they have a fairly, I think the number is about 25,000. The other thing is you have your county sheriffs, and the county sheriffs, particularly if the governor gave an additional authority to them, they could deputize additional deputy sheriffs within their counties. And there's a lot of veterans in Texas, as well as just, you know, good-hearted, patriotic people. So you could create a human deterrent with real law enforcement backing and capabilities. At the same time, Texas has sufficient resources to be able to build the walls that they can, instead of opening up these federal camps. I've been to three of those. I've been to three places along that border within the last probably 9-10 months. And there are giant camps that have been built by the federal government and the state. And you don't hear anything out of the governor of Texas there. You hear nothing out of him. What he does is they capture a busload. They seize a busload of them and they send them up to, you know, Martha's Vineyard, or they send them further into the country, which to me is a big publicity stunt.
Yeah.
All of these illegals need to be pushed back across the border. The governor of Texas needs to demand that the federal government give him the resources, or what he's going to do, he's going to take the resources that the state of Texas has, and he's going to do it himself. The state of Texas has all the resources they need, human capital and capital, to be able to do the things that they need to stop this. And the governor down there in Texas has done nothing. And the reason why is because he's really, to me, he's sort of a bought and paid for politician.
There it is.
Who actually could do much more, but doesn't. And you have to ask why. And Clay just showed one of the reasons why he doesn't do more, because he's part of this, you know, Build Back Better crowd. And and he's a Republican, right? He's a Republican too, but he's not the type of guy that's going to help us out to stop the border penetration, this border invasion. But he could do it. He could do it. I said probably 6 months ago, if Abbott made the decision, he could stop the border influx in about a day, and then it would take him a couple of weeks to really just strengthen it. And then what would happen is they'd flow over to New Mexico, they'd flow over to Arizona. Fine, let them do that. But Governor Abbott stopped the damn border invasion into Texas.
There's 1,254 miles of border in Texas. The Texas National Guard has right here 19,000 soldiers, which we're all great.
19,000. I said 25,000. 19,000.
So you've got now, that's 0.66 soldiers per mile. Okay. Meanwhile, here, this is not new.
And that's a big deal, because I'm sorry, because that's a very important stat. That's not those Texas National Guard soldiers are not soldiers that he's got to go back to the federal government to get permission to use. Those belong to Texas. That goes all the way back to the beginning of Texas as a state.
Right here, this is Fox News. This isn't new news, General Flynn. This is Daniel Hoffman. He reports that China has an assault on Texas. This was June 23rd of 2020. And folks, this is some wild stuff. Listen to this here. China, this is in 2020. They have been building. So look at this, folks. China has an investment corporation called GH America. It's an investment group that purchased 130,000 acres of land in Texas. And this is a wholly owned subsidiary of a Chinese, folks, we're talking about China has purchased 130,000 acres of property in Texas. And the organization that purchased this, the Chinese subsidiary that purchased this right here, this is the organization that notoriously runs the re-education camps in China. This is not new news. And so the question we have here, I'm going to go back to Charlie on this, is you are writing music, Charlie, that is exposing. It was so good. It was so powerful. You're exposing all this. Where can people go to find your music, sir? What's the website or the place to go to?
It's all on the streaming platforms right now. We have some nice videos on YouTube. The channel is Brett Rayo. It's my partner, BRETTRAIO. And all my videos are on his page, because, you know, I just started really doing this, and Brett's a established, like, really super powerful artist, young 21-year-old Christian, awesome. He's just a great man. And this new song, One Nation Under Jesus, is very powerful. That's what he's a street preacher, John, from Maine. Very, very powerful, such a talented brother, really good soul.
Now, Thomas Renz, we were just at the Reawaken America Tour in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we were there. People come up to me and they always tell me this. They go, I appreciate that you guys aren't fake. And I like to ask the follow-up question, General Flynn. I said, what do you mean by fake? And they go, so many of these politicians, they're not real. And these people can smell it, General Flynn. They can smell whether you're real or not. They know who's real or not. And the people connect with Mike Lindell because they know he's not fake. They connect with Tom Renz because they know he's not fake. They connect with Maria Z because they know she's not fake. And they kept telling me that. They go, this is the first event they've ever been to where the speakers weren't fake. And I think that's why President Donald J. Trump connects with the American people, General Flynn, is because he's not fake. So I want to ask you this, General Flynn. Why is it that President Donald J. Trump is connecting with the American people when Mike Pence and Ramaswamy and Rob DeSantis don't connect?
Yeah, the thing about Trump is brutally honest. I mean, he is so honest. He's, to a fault, which is good. He's authentic. There's no doubt about what Trump could have done in his life, but instead he gave all that up to help this country move in a much more positive and better direction. He gave it all up. And I don't believe for a second that he believed coming into politics like he did, that he was going to run into the headwinds that he's run into. I mean, I know now, and he knows now, and believe me, that he knows exactly what we're dealing with. And he's always sort of intuitively felt it. But the reason is that people connect with him because he is brutally honest. I mean, this guy, and he just calls, he calls a spade, and he is not putting up with the political fools that we have, nor will he put up with some of these other people like a Ramaswamy, who I just sent you another fact that was just sent to me. We'll talk about it later on another show, but it's unbelievable. It has to do with Ramaswamy in China. So Trump is what we need. And the other thing I guess about Trump too is Trump is a warrior. Trump is a warrior. He is as tough as nails. He's got that New York, street type attitude, and he's a warrior. He's just not going to give up. Like he says in his first tweet after 2.5 years with the mugshot, he says, never surrender. And I know he's never going to surrender.
Now, General Flynn here, you have President Trump is the only candidate for the Republicans that's talking about de-dollarization. Meanwhile, they're gleefully talking about de-dollarization in South Africa. They're talking about on WION in India. Listen to this, folks.
These 22 countries, including Saudi Arabia and Iran, have formally asked to join the BRICS bloc. Another group of 22 also expressing interest in gaining their membership.
This week could go down as one of the most important weeks of the century. Historians will likely look back on this week as a pivotal moment. And this is not hyperbole, guys. The global world order is about to be upended this week in South Africa as the BRICS nations come together.
Now, this was last week, and I want to be very clear. This is South Africa. Watch the news as they gleefully discuss de-dollarization. Just watch this, folks, because you're not going to see this on ABC, CBS, NBC.
Oil. The list is endless.
It's going to blow your mind,
and
folks.
The U.S., by the way, I guess their invitation got lost in the mail.
Watch this, folks.
Continue with the trend of de-dollarization. National currencies have been now used in bilateral trade. Payment systems and cards integration also have been put in place. And financial messaging system accommodates that in order for the de-dollarization to continue. Then we have de-dollarization in the BRICS countries. Okay, so there's what's called the BRICS Pay, which was introduced years ago. You have a single payment system in order to make sure that dollar is not used. And then you have what's called this cloud platform, where it connects the national payment systems in order for that to happen, along with the common currency, which was the last one. Now, SWIFT replacement is a big one. Russia, China, and Iran, they each have their own payment systems, as you can see over here. BRICS has said it's going to introduce that in 6 months. And everybody's looking forward to see whether that is going to be discussed, which I'm sure it will be in the upcoming BRICS summit.
Okay, so we looked this up here, Rins. BRICS has now formally invited 6 new countries to join BRICS. So specifically, you have 6 new countries that are joining BRICS, and that would include Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. Rins, you have a banking background. You're also an attorney. What does that mean for the listeners out there that are holding U.S. dollars?
They're screwed. The reality is, and I'm dead serious about this. We're going to spend the next 2 generations rebuilding what my generation's lost because we sat on our hands and watched our country go to hell. This is an absolute devastating blow to the country. The ability to control the world, the ability to produce, we're going to spend decades rebuilding this nation to be half of what it once was. And we're watching it crumble before our eyes. The best we can do at this point is pray to God that we get Trump in there next year and that he can pull off some sort of a miracle to salvage half of what we got. Because at this point, between the Obama administration, the Biden administration, which is a continuation of the Obama administration, and all the corruption that occurred while they were trying to destroy Trump for 4 years, we've gone from a nation that was the world superpower indisputably to a nation that is now about to be rendered second tier. And I don't think the people of this country have any idea when they say, well, it's not worth fighting over. I'm going to keep my head down and go along to get along. Well, in 20 years, when they look back on this time and they see that the prosperity that their kids should have is gone and everything else, I shudder to think what we're going to be feeling like.
Now, Sorcini, these countries are moving into a gold-backed, programmable central bank digital currency. A lot of information there, a lot of words, but gold-backed, programmable central bank digital currency. Listen to what Kiyosaki had to say.
So there was only the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, but the big one is Saudi Arabia and Iran. Now, the reason that's important is they hate America. And if you can get that picture, plus you have the Belt and Road Project, you have most of the world that's not. I'm going to hope you don't get censored for me saying this, but the world that they're going into is a non-Christian world.
There it is.
I'm not being religious and all this. I'm not being political. I'm saying it's Muslim, Hindu, Islam, and all this. So this is a very big move, is because the world, who is not white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, Christian, like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, England, they're joining up against the Western currency.
Sorcini, why are they all hoarding the Earth's gold? These BRICS bloc countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, now Iran, Saudi Arabia, they've been doing this for 16 consecutive years. Why are they hoarding the Earth's gold?
Well, a couple of things. By hoarding the Earth's gold, when we do move to a gold-backed central bank digital currency that is programmable, that's going to make the price of gold go up because our dollars or our currency will actually be based on something. But the second thing is that this is going to not just de-dollarize the globe; it's going to kill all of the fiat currency out there. So all these other countries that are joining BRICS are going to be given up on their physical paper currency that's actually not worth the paper that it's printed on. So gold is going to be where all of the value is.
Now, I want to get your thoughts on this, Charlie. The Bible, 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17 says, now the Lord is that Spirit. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. These countries are anti-Christ. They're not pro-Christ. What does that mean for the listeners out there that think that, no, it doesn't matter if you're allowed to be a Christian or not? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it matters. It matters a lot because this is all prophesized. Christians are going to be persecuted, and But now my question is: isn't Putin? Isn't he Christian, Judeo-Christian? Isn't that right?
I'm going to flip to General Flynn.
Yeah.
I'll volley the ball back.
He allows in Russia, he allows the faiths, the 3 major faiths, global faiths, Islam and Christianity and Judaism to I would say to prosper and to practice. Okay. And they don't get persecuted because you're a Christian or you're a Jew, or you're a Muslim. He has opened that up quite a bit, and to the point of making sure that the various cultures that exist in the size and the scale of Russia, he allows them to exist in a very, very open way. But that's one of the misnomers that you hear from our media about Russia and the Russian people, and then about their leadership. I mean, he's got other. I mean, Putin is definitely a communist, but he'll wear a cross, and I mean, if he was asked, do you have a Christian belief, or do you have a belief, he would say, I have a Christian held belief, but he's a communist. It's like what the direction that the left, that the globalists are taking America. We are going to be an America. This is in their words, really. We're going to be an America with a socialist or communist character. And that's the way China is. China is definitely soulless. Communism is a soulless type society.
Wow.
But in terms of Putin is allowing those three major beliefs, particularly the Orthodox Jewish system and culture, to flourish and to not be persecuted. So this is something that we really are going to have to pay attention to in this country, because there is a complete assault on particularly Christianity in this country, particularly Christianity. And the New York Times had an article last weekend, Charlie, I think it was Friday or Saturday, Friday, had an article about the death of Christianity. The New York Times, the death of Christianity in America, that it's declining. And boy, I think that's the furthest thing from the truth. I actually think it's awakening.
Now, General Flynn, I want to get your thoughts on some solutions here. I want to get Sorcini's thoughts and Ren's, everyone's thoughts on some solutions or some action steps we can take here. So right now, my big announcement I have here for you is Barack Obama's brother, Malik Obama, is joining us on the Reawaken America tour. I just talked to Eric Trump right before we hopped on this interview to confirm. Again, Malik Obama is headed to the Reawaken America tour at Trump Doral in Florida. So Obama, back to back. We're going to have Obama, then Trump. We're gonna have Malik Obama followed by Eric Trump on the. I'm fascinated.
We should have Malik both days. We should have him on Friday and on Saturday.
I tell you what, I'm excited to hear Malik talk about his older half brother and his concerns he has.
I want to hear. He was the best man at Barack's wedding. I want to hear more about that wedding. I want to hear about the bachelor party and the reception afterwards.
Oh boy, can't wait for that one. Okay, so Malik Obama is joining us on the Reawaken America tour. If you want to get tickets for that, that's going to be at Trump Doral. We're headed back to Trump Doral here. This will be October 13th and 14th, and it's going to be a blasty blast. Roseanne, her speech in Las Vegas was incredible.
Wow.
General Flynn's talk in Las Vegas was incredible. I heard so many great things about Laura Trump's presentation, Donald J. Trump Jr.'s presentation, Thomas Renz's presentation. So many wonderful speakers there, and you can get those tickets at timetofreeamerica.com. Sorcini, if people want to get a hold of you, I mean, all the, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're all teaming up, hoarding the Earth's gold since for the last 16 years. If people want to hoard some gold or get out of the dollar or try to protect what value they have, how do they get a hold of you, sir?
They should reach out to us on bh-pm.com, fill out the online form there, say that the general sent you, and put in a couple of notes there about specifically what it is that you'd like to learn more about. Oftentimes people are saying that they would like to convert their retirement accounts into a precious metals IRA, and they just want to understand the steps necessary on how that can be done. And we can certainly help. And just one comment, I believe that fiat currency in the whole world is coming to an end quickly. So this could be one of our last chances here to own physical gold and silver and be able to own it privately and outside of the centralized banking system. And we can tell you more about that if you reach out to us by web form.
Put your name, your email in here, your phone number, how you heard about us. And then right here on the notes, you'll put your question like, what causes Thomas Renz to have that rash? And you just put in the question and Sorcini will call you. He's got the answers. Charlie, we'd love to get your thoughts here. How can people get in touch with you or hear your music? What's the best action step for listeners, sir?
Best is to go to the Instagram at Charlie Carbone KC. That's the best way. And then I don't really, spend too much time on it. That's the main one I use, and everything, from there you can go. It's all one. I'm heavily censored on there. They usually, I think it's the second one from the bottom.
Second one from the bottom, right
I mean,
here.
I'm sorry, the top.
Second one,
Second
okay, right here.
Yep, I believe that's the one.
Boom.
Yes.
You. Okay.
Yeah, beautiful.
Now, Tom Renz, how do people get in touch with you, and tell the listeners out there how they can support you or help you, sir?
TomRenz.com. We definitely need some help. We definitely need some support. You can also go to our Renz Law Give Send Go. We need donations, support our sponsors, share our Freedom News. We got the Freedom News up there in the top. That's kind of cool. We've got a bunch of patriots. We're posting a bunch of their stuff. We're just trying to make sure that we're getting the word out, and we do need some help right now. The cost of these lawsuits is out of control. The cost of our work is out of control, and basically we get by on we the people.
Now, General Flynn, you are you're somebody who knows a lot about lawfare. You've been fighting it for years and years and years. You know what Thomas Renz is going through. You're also a guy who refuses to give up on our faith and our freedoms we enjoy as Americans. And I think a lot of people look to you as one of the few people on the Republican side they can trust. I think we're down to a place now where a lot of people, they learned these things about Ramaswamy today. They learned these things about Mike Pence. People are discovering this. They're learning about Rob DeSanctimonious. And a lot of people are going, wow, I mean, there's President Trump, there's General Flynn, there's just a handful of people, and people are looking to you, sir, for some answers or for some encouragement. What would you say to the listeners out there, sir?
Yeah, well, let me just say that something that Andrew Sorcini just said is very, very powerful from a guy that has 40 years of experience in this field of precious metals. What he basically said is that the currency of choice globally for the world has always been the U.S. dollar, and I can tell you that. I'll just read something here real quick. India is part of the BRICS. India has now started to purchase in rupees oil about well over 1 million barrels a day from the UAE. The UAE is looking to join the BRICS. And when India starts to use rupees instead of what they call petrodollars for OPEC were always based on US dollars, the US currency. And so that has begun. And I think we're going to see a huge shift away from the dollar as the currency of choice and more towards, rupees or rubles or yuan or other forms of currency that are going to be used and traded. And it's all going to go digitized. It's all going to go digitized. So, one of the things, and we just came out with that artificial intelligence book. We call it a citizen's guide. People can go get it. They can go to my website at generalflynn.com, or they can go to Amazon. They can go to Barnes and Noble. I think it's a bestseller now. The fifth generation warfare one was a bestseller, but that's a very powerful statement by Andrew. And that's why I think that everything that we're going to start to see, and this is why there's been so much gold purchased by countries like China and others, India as well. I mean, we're talking tonnage of gold. So, and then of course, gold and silver, but that's the commodity of choice moving into the future in order to have something, digital currency, a credit card that has some access to some form of currency that you're going to have to prove. And this is what's happening. This is what's going to happen. And it happens when there's weak leadership inside of the United States government, inside the White House. And we have dried oatmeal in running our country right now in the name of Biden. He's a dried bowl of oatmeal. It's about the best I can say.
General Flynn, in closing, I want to get your thoughts on this. We had 5,000 plus people show up in Las Vegas. And what I hear, I try to get there early each day. You do the same thing. We're there at 5 a.m. It's hilarious. You get there, it's dark. It's dark. I go, General Flynn, is that you? Or is that Antifa? Because it's 5 a.m. It's just you and I running around on the tent there. It's dark. And we greet people, and people always tell me, they go, Clay, I've been going to Republican events for years. I've never met any of the speakers ever. And you go out there and you shake their hands. Mike Lindell shakes their hands. Why do you do that, sir? Why do you at these events?
Because I want to make, and I know Mike is like this, Roger Stone's like this, others that we have are like this. We want to make sure that people know that we are real. We are real people, and we give a shit, excuse my Irish, that we care about them. We absolutely care, because these people are coming they come with a little bit of trepidation and fear of our own government, and I know that they're inspired, and they leave with hope, and they leave with ideas as to how to get involved, whether it's to help somebody like Tom Renz and Renz Law, or the stuff that Andrew talks to them about precious metals, or any of these speakers that we have. We give people options that attend these events, and we also have a good light time with them too, with good music. And guys like Jim Brewer and Roseanne Barr. I mean, Roseanne Barr, talk about raising the bar in the Reawaken America tour. She raised the bar the other day in a huge way. And so I think if we're able to get her, in future events, and I know we will, we're going to continue to just plow new ground with the American people.
Now, General Flynn, my final question for you, sir. We let people name their price for these Reawaken America Tour events. So we want to make it affordable for everybody. And I just love to get your thoughts on that. We've been doing that since the very first one. We make it affordable. Could you maybe talk about that briefly, sir? Because I think some people think I can't afford to go. The mainstream media loves to say it's not affordable, but yet we are screaming it from the mountaintops. You can name your price. Could you maybe touch on that just briefly, sir?
Yeah, name your price, and Clay gives out his personal cell phone. Now, for you, Charlie, we're gonna have to raise the price a little bit for you specifically, but yeah, this is serious. Name your price. I mean, we have a VIP crowd that comes in there, and we love them, and we absolutely love them, and they are very helpful. But these are, as you know, Clay, these are break even at best events or losses. Particularly with the nonsense that we dealt with out in Vegas. It's just unbelievable. That should be called Grift City, man. Wow.
I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up. If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?